Hello, everyone. It's time for Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanos. This is episode 387, season 16. Today's date is November 30th, 2024, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I'm going to talk about this is a subject I talked about before, is the Ivanhoe Theater and Restaurant. And I'll talk about this history of this place, and I also have a dinner menu I'll read off in case you've forgotten what you ate over there. So this will be fun. Also, I'll talk about my memories of listening to bands from Chicago. They were in the 1960s, and I listened to them on the radio when I was a kid. So I figured, why not? This would be something somewhat different. I'll do it. Okay, so right now the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Kellogg's Cocoa Hoots. And, boy, I remember this cereal very well. And it features Newton the Owl. And the commercial is from 1972. When I come back, I'll explain about this commercial and the voices of the people that did the commercial, so you'll understand. Okay, so sit back and relax, and I'll be right back with the show, folks. Thank you.
My name's Newton, and I'm a hootin' fool. Hoo! There I go again. Thing about my hoots is they taste good, 'cause they're Cocoa Hoots, the brand new cereal that's frosted sweet and cocoa-y. The Kellogg folks box them, but Newton hoots them. Go, no! Newton's my name, and Hootin's my game, and look, I don't just hoot, I hoot. Delicious Cocoa Hoots. Now there's a beaut.
Hoot! It's Hoot!
Cocoa Hoots, fortified with 8 and 40 vitamins.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Kellogg's Cocoa Hoots, featuring Newton the Owl. I remember this commercial very well when I was growing up as a kid. I first saw it when I lived in the Roseland neighborhood. It's a chocolate flavored cereal. It looks like Cheerios. It's round, has holes in them, blah, 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 like that. Anyway, it was very sweet, Of course, the mascot was named Newton, and you can find there's 2 commercials of him. They're the same, but he's there. So the voice of Newton, believe it or not, I think it's true, is actor Pat Buttram, best known as Mr. Haney from Green Acres. Who was the biggest con artist in television history. Oh, he was a funny man. I loved it. Oh, he's just bad. He was terrible, but yeah, it sounded like him. But according to some information, that the little girl in the commercial is Jodie Foster when she was young. I'm not sure if it was her. Looks like her, but I can't confirm it. I don't know. Maybe it is. So anyway, the cereal did not last long. Probably lasts about maybe a couple of years. And I think after that was Cocoa Krispies, and that's still around like that. Of course, Cheerios makes chocolate flavor, I think. I usually buy Honey Nut, but but similar to that. So I don't know. They came out with new brands every year, like that since the beginning of time. Like the 50s and the 60s. But the bottom line is cereal's very sweet. You got to be careful. I tried to avoid it. I always said that. But it's no fun. The other day I had a bowl of cornflakes and I had no sugar. And it tasted strange. But I ate it. I did okay. I used to put a little sugar in it, just to sweeten it a little bit. But no. Not anymore. I got to be careful. All right. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned I'm going to talk about the Ivanhoe Theater and Restaurant. That was located at 3000 North Clark Street in the Lakeview neighborhood, I believe, in Chicago. And I also have a menu. I'll read off that. Also, I'll talk about my memories of listening to 1960s rock bands they played on the radio as a kid. Before I get started, I want to mention one thing. If you noticed yesterday, I went to the Blue Village Vinyl. I think that's what's called, Blue Village or Blue Vinyl Village. I get that mixed up. I'm sorry, Andrew. He's the owner of the place. They had a performance at 11 o'clock, and then at 12 o'clock they had a book signing. And I met two of the guys that had their book published, and it was called 70s Chicagoland Rock Concerts. And the photos were courtesy of Jim Samaria, and the stories were by Mark Plotnick. And I thumbed through the book, while I was there, and it's cool. It's beautiful photos. There's some biographies of that, but it looks like a good book. I'm going to read it today. I will try. I've been kind of busy. So I went there yesterday and I met them. They signed the book, and that was very nice. And we had a good chat. And Mark Plotnick didn't recognize me immediately, but I sent him a friend request about the day before. And then he put two and two together, and he said, "Oh, you're from Chicagoland." And I introduced myself to Jim Samaria. Very nice man. He's a photographer. And then we had our picture taken. We were there for a little while, and then they had to leave. So I had to leave too. So that was a great afternoon. I had a good time. It was nice. Just to get away from the Thanksgiving, stuff. As for Thanksgiving, I posted a picture of my mom's dinner. Well, our dinner, that is, excuse me. It was beautiful. It was delicious. My mom did an outstanding job. We helped her, me and my brothers, whatever we can. She's 89, so you got to take it easy. She gets exhausted easily. So we did our best. And as always, she cooked an amazing meal. And we have leftovers today. So tonight we'll have that. Okay. So everyone compliment, and then I uploaded a selfie of myself, wishing everyone happy Thanksgiving. As for my health, I haven't heard anything yet. I have an idea what's going on with my test results from the PET scan. Hopefully Monday I'll hear something. Maybe, I don't know. We'll find out. I have a feeling it's not that bad news. I can't say. I don't know. Okay. All right. So let's get started on the Ivanhoe Theater and Restaurant. This place is well remembered by many Chicagoans, and it was a restaurant. It also had dinner theater included. So the architecture of this place is like a castle, like King Arthur days. If you go in, the only thing they didn't have is a drawbridge. No, they didn't have that. Like boom. They didn't have that. They just have a door. Yeah, but I've never been to this place. I wish I did. It's still there. It's a Binny's liquor store. I would like to go there one day and just look around, maybe buy a bottle of wine, and ask what happened to the rest of the place. I don't know how big this place is when Binny's moved in. At least it's not sitting idle or torn down. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so here's the history of this place. I got this from the information here. Here we go. So it's like on an intersection of Clark Street and Wellington Avenue. And so in the 1920s, there were two brothers that opened Ivanhoe as a restaurant. And it looked like a castle from the Middle Ages in Europe. And so the menu consisted of like German and European dishes, not expensive, but good. The name of the restaurant came from a novel set in England in the 12th century, and it was called Ivanhoe, a Romance by Sir Walter Scott. And one of the owners loved that book. They made a movie about that in 1958, I believe. One of the stars I do remember was Elizabeth Taylor. She was in that movie, and I saw it in Channel 9 years and years ago. If it's on TCM, I'll try to record it and watch it again. But I heard it was a very good movie. And the building consists of like tunnels leading to a rustic bar. It had wooden tables, and they had stalactites and bones embedded in the walls. And according to rumors, the place was a speakeasy during Prohibition. Maybe. You never know. The customers or patrons would step into some open-sided elevator. And guess we watched a brick disappear. Sounds like Batman and Robin going to the bat holes to me. And they would descend deep in the bowels of Earth like that. But it was just a basement. And that's what made it fun like that. That's nice, And so in 1966, one of a son of the original owners took over the business and turned it into a theater. Yeah, it wasn't a theater before. Later on, it did. And the theater was in a square, round, whatever you call it, and the audience was seated on all four sides of the stage, and the curtain was velvet, like that. Usually, whatever acts they brought, they had maybe plays or not musicals. I don't think so, But they had famous people there, like Zsa Zsa Gabor, she was there. She performed. I'm sure other people were there. And also Rita Moreno was there. She did the Rose Tattoo by Tennessee Williams. That'd be fine. Also, anyway, so they did that. They had plays and comedies and all that. Also concerts. Comedians, doing stand-ups. Dolly Parton performed there, David Steinberg, Graham Park. And then in the 1980s, the theater was divided, and half of it was an amphitheater, and then next door was the Gold Standard Liquors. Have you ever remember that liquor store? And then and a chalet cheese shop. So you get some wine and get some cheese, and then like that. And then it changed into Benny's later on. So and then the theater was closed in 2001, and then Benny's took the entire place, the entire space that is, and they had, for the catacombs, down in the basement, they had like events, wine tastings, wine and cheese parties and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool like that. That's nice. Okay. All right. Right now I'm going to bring the menu. This will be fun. Okay. Here we go. It's very short. You need not to worry. Okay. Here we go. All right, so let's see. Here we go. So dinner. So the entrees they had was not much, marinated herring, mixed olives. They had cream of chicken soup. Cocktails. They had melon ball cocktail. That sounds good. Cantaloupe Ivanhoe. I'm not sure what that was. All right. chopped chicken livers for appetizers, shrimp cocktail, consomme, roast radishes. They decorate those. So, and they had cold consomme. So that's a French soup. Like that. Never had it. Okay. Seafood, they had pan-fried Colorado brook trout, broiled Australian lobster tail, with melted butter, shrimp Dijon, baked red snapper bordelaise. So that sounds French, like that. French fried shrimp with tartar sauce, pan-fried jumbo frog legs. If you like frog legs, my neighbor who used to live here next to me, he loved frog legs. Lobster Newburgh, broiled whole Maine lobster, broiled jumbo Lake Superior whitefish, and fried deep scallops, tartar sauce. My mom loves scallops. Oh, she loves this. Okay. The entrees were, not much. Ivanhoe spaghetti with meatballs and casserole. That sounds good. I love mixed spaghetti and meatballs. Baked Ivanhoe ravioli with Parmesan cheese, chopped beef tenderloin steak, pan-fried calf livers with grilled bacon. I like liver, but not with bacon. I never had that. Oh, no, I did have that. That's like ramaki. Okay, chicken a la king in patty shell with rich cream sauce, pepper steak and casserole, two broiled double lamb chops served with mint jelly, roast John turkey with dressing, cranberry sauce, just like we had a couple of days ago. Fried half chicken disjointed with country gravy, sauté veal cutlet, mayonnaise. Okay. Also, roast prime rib, ajus. I had that. Broiled filet mignon with béarnaise sauce, and also broiled sirloin steak with béarnaise sauce. That sounds good. And it was served with au gratin or French fried potatoes, green beans, or creamed spinach. I'm not a big spinach fan. I eat spanakopita, with the Greek one. I like that, especially my mother's. But, cream spinach, I love it. It's good. Also, it's served with the salads. They had a tossed salad, a limestone lettuce salad, either French dressing or imported mandarin orange salad. Served with cottage cheese or celery seed dressing, like that. If you wanted Roquefort or Thousand Island, help yourself. Now, desserts. They had whipped jello. I don't know what that was. Watermelon ice cream, apple or berry pies, choice of cheese, toasted with crackers, half a cantaloupe, rum cake, cheesecake, honeydew melon. They had a fresh peach shortcake, butterscotch or chocolate marshmallow sundaes, regular jello, orange sherbet, and Italian spumoni. That's nice. And they also had coffee, tea, milk, or iced tea. So that's it. That sounded wonderful. That really does. It sounds yummy. So that's a shame. I wish I went to that place. Would have been fun. We'll see about that. Okay. Right now, I'm going to take a quick break. And right now, when I come back, I'm going to talk about my memories of listening to the 1960s rock bands on the radio in Chicago. And this will be a lot of fun. Okay, so sit back and relax, and I'll be right back, folks. Thank you. Okay, everyone, I'm back. Right now, I'm going to talk about my memories of listening to Chicago rock bands from the 1960s. I could talk about the 70s, but I'll add that in, just in case. When I was growing up, music was a big part of my life. I love it. I still do. I used to listen to the first radio station I listened to was WLS AM 890. Listening to Bob Surratt and John Ricker Zundecker. They're still on the radio, talking. And they're on WGN radio. But that was a great time. I talked about this in a podcast episode before, I believe. I've done so many. And they played the latest hits, and it was great listening to the commercials. They did the contests and all that. And they did play current hits, mostly. Yeah, it was like that. Um, I'm not sure they had an oldie station at the time in the 70s. Probably later, or maybe I don't know about. More were added, like WFYR, and then WJMK that came in the 80s. So I'll get into that. As time went on, a WLS, had the FM radio station. They played the current hits as well. Right now they play oldies. Believe it or not, they have for many years. But there are other radio stations that do play current music and also oldies. In the 80s, I used to listen to B96. I'll talk about that another time. In the early 80s, they had some great hits. That was a fun era for me, listening to that. So, in the 1980s, a radio station came on, I think about 40 years ago. It was WJMK, Magic 104. And they started playing oldies, and it was a big hit. They brought back many of the disc jockeys. Of course, Biondi, they brought him back, and it was just like listening to the 60s all over again. And that was great. He was wonderful. I think sometimes he was on Saturday nights and like that. So, listening to the oldies, in my car or on my radio, I was at school at the time at DeVry. I look forward to listening to the radio, the oldies station. I did listen to current music too at the time, but the oldies were great. And mostly they played late 50s and the 60s. The 70s, early 70s, not too much. Later on they did. So during that time, they were playing bands from Chicago. Also, the Chicago band, they did play that, them, But I'm talking about like local bands here. Yeah, I'll give you an example of who I listen to. And you probably know who they are. Some are still performing, as far as I know. So we'll see. All right, so here we go. Here's the list of people. So this is it. So most of they played was the Buckinghams. They're from here, and they're hit. They played "Don't You Care," Susan, and what was the other one? I can't think of the other one. So they played that all the time. All the time they played that, and also the Crying Shames. The Eyes of March that came later, and of course, they played New Colony 6. I believe they're still performing. I think so. I'm not sure. But they played that. That group, it was on constant all the time. And that was the first time I heard them. And most of those. And they were great. And with Shadows of Night, it was Gloria. I like that a lot. So, and then others were introduced later. Of course, there was Chicago, the group that came. They were the Chicago Transit Authority. Started in 1969. But they were a big hit in the 70s and the 80s. And I think they're still performing today, maybe. Not the same lineup. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Nah. And of course, in the 70s, there was Styx, with Dennis DeYoung, and it took them a while to be famous. And, they played in high schools and some venues like that. They did play at Bogan, at my high school, but I was too young. I didn't see them. And then there was REO Speedwagon, Kevin Cronin. It took them a while, but then they went, full, mainstream, and then they played, they played rock, and then they played love ballads and all that. But they're still a group. They're a good group. I like them. I love their music. I really do. And of course, Here's a group that's not from Chicago, but in Illinois, is Cheap Trick. And they came out when I was in high school. And when they did that live album in Budokan, exploded. I love their songs. I still do to this day. Yeah. So that's a beautiful memory of me listening to Magic 104, with the oldies. I listened to them on Saturday nights, They had Saturday Night Jukebox, I think. I'm not sure. I forgot. Then Magic 104 disappeared later on. I won a contest on Magic 104. The DJ was Amy Scott, if you remember her. I won tickets to Sheer Madness, if you remember the play, and I still have the tickets. I didn't go. I didn't have time. I was studying, but I was heard on the radio, and that was cool. So I still have the tickets. They're in my bedroom. So, so the artists that I mentioned, that first started in the 60s, some are still playing. I don't know about the Crying Shames or the, what's the other ones? Shadows of the Night? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Like that. Okay. All right. So that's it for this show. Okay, so I'll do a recap of what I talked about. I talked about the Ivanhoe Theater and Restaurant that was located at 3000 North Clark Street in the Lakeview neighborhood of Chicago, And also my memories of listening to 1960s rock bands that were originated from Chicago on the radio. Okay, this podcast will be published later on today, wherever podcasts wherever you can find. If you have apps on your phone, your tablet, or your desktop, please tap on them. Click on follow. They're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Breaker, Overcast, Audacity, Audible. I think they're there. iHeartRadio, I know it's there. Just tap follow and you'll get the latest episode. You'll receive a notification. I always said that many times. Also be on my blog, www.vanchicagoland.blog. You can click on the link and it'll take you right there to listen. Also on my YouTube channel, again and again. People ask me, where do I find your podcast? Where I find your podcast? I like to listen. I had a couple of people asking me that too yesterday. You can find it on YouTube. Do a search, Van Chicagoland Stories, or the podcast, or my name, Pete Costanis. You can click on subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. You can listen to previous episodes if you'd like, anytime, anywhere, any place. Also, it'll be shared on my social media accounts: Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Reddit, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and TikTok. I didn't leave anything out. No. If I did, sorry. Okay. So that was a fun show. So this is Pete Costanis, your host of Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. It looks nice outside, but it's cold. Ooh, it's cold outside. It's going to be cold this weekend. And I will probably do another podcast tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. If not, then Tuesday I will do one. I will start talking about Christmas episodes, because it's the Christmas season now. Yeah, the Christmas music is playing. Well, it's been playing earlier before, from what station. Decorations are out. I haven't decorated yet. So they get the trees and all that. And so they started the shopping yesterday. All right. So this is Pete Costanis, your host, again, for Van Chicagoland Stories. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And here's bye-bye for me. And here's a little traveling music from our wonderful person that's always on my podcast from Beyond, is Ray Rayner, saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.